Okay, now for installing the Gripzilla weapon into a chassis. So as we've seen, the Gripzilla weapon can be fully assembled outside the chassis, all the way to the self-righting mechanism and the link and everything. And here we can get a good look at how it works with the slider pulling the arms across the shoulders. And then when the servo pulls down, you can see how the pivot works. So you get your opening, closing, and then pivoting. Uh, Now, unlike going, all three other weapon packages can be installed without having to do anything with the motors. So if you want to go from the flipper to suplex slam or even to launchinator, um, none of that requires using the mount for Gripzilla. So Gripzilla, the weapon mount, is in the back. You do need to get the motors out of the way in order to be able to mount the weapon. So with the pulled the zips, gently flexed the chassis, took the motors out of the way, then you just drop the Gripzilla weapon package onto the back, and we will use some of our self-tapping screws. This is one of those times where having an electric is really quite nice to have, but as we've said before, make sure that as you run these in, you do so very slowly, about 1 revolution per second, maybe 2, but if you go too fast, you'll melt the plastic even if you don't bottom out. And then I usually do the last um, bit of tightening by turning the whole screwdriver. Just it's a little bit easier to feel how much torque I'm putting on it. It might be a little fast, so you really do want to go pretty slow, and then when it bites, you can just turn the driver, get that to fit, and 2 more of these. It's neck 3 more. So Gripzilla is the only one of the 4 Creatabots that is up near the full 8 ounces. They tend to come in about 215, almost 220 grams on that 225 gram limit. But it's such a fun mechanism. A lot of people really do enjoy it. I wouldn't quite say that it's OP, like actually overpowered, but it can certainly be as competitive as anything else, any of the other Creatabots in competition with each other. So they're actually almost fully installed. Sometimes you gotta tap a little on its own. So there is the weapons installed. And I might have wanted to, no, we're good. So when I reinstall the motors, I'm making sure that I can see the laser engraved RPM numbers on the top, and I'm still going to gently flex the chassis open while pushing it down straight. And as this had been a fully assembled chassis, didn't even need to pull the wheel guards, so you can't really quite see into the sides to see how much we're flexing the chassis, but I am still doing my best to avoid damaging those retention features on the gearboxes. And then we will put the zip ties back on those before we put the top armor on. And there we have it. So that will be there. And I think that this one actually has been run down a smidge too far because of how far above horizontal they are. So what we can do is just take a few turns out of that. Now, as part of the Gripzilla weapon package, we have the front plow on there, and the front plow, we actually use the top of the 3 holes to put that in, and we can use either the older stainless M2x6 machine screws, that was what was already in this pot, or we can use the new black M2x6 self tappers. But as I'm putting this one back together, there's already a good number of the stainless machine screws. We'll go ahead and use those to put them back in. Finish this up. It is always a good idea to be able to see what you're screwing into to make sure that you're not missing. So I'm sighting back there to make sure that I can see that the screw is going into the plow mount, keeping it nice and slow. Down to about 1 revolution a minute, 1 revolution a second. And I'm actually going to finish these by hand. There we go. That's the plow mounted. And we may actually end up wanting to lower that back plow a little bit more, but we'll go ahead and finish the weapon assembly. So all that's left is installing the self-rider onto the horn. And as always, we make sure that we're catching the first and third holes. About the camera bump. That looks like it lines up quite well. I do like the stainless machine screws for installing the screws into the self-righting mechanism, because they will thread all the way through, getting a good full engagement with the far side of the self-rider. The self-tappers don't have full diameter threads all the way to the end. So this is one of the spots that I actually prefer those machine screws. That's why we provide the 2 stainless machine screws. And each of the package is with either Squeezy or Gripzilla. It's for these 2 locations. So there we have it. That is the Gripzilla weapon fully installed, and we'll want to set the heights to make sure that the claw is not scraping on the ground. We will be turning that adjustment screw in a little bit more to keep that claw off the ground. There we go. That's the Gripzilla weapon package installed.